I think we're back with. Should be back online now. Just might wait for a few people to join us. I'm hoping this will be another joint solve with Shark if he's going to log back in again. Because he really has gotten us over the line with the previous puzzles. He just sent me a message now. So this puzzle won the Ascot Gold Cup in 2004. So this will be, I think, the fourth puzzle we're solving in this stream. I haven't read the preamble yet, but it looks like it is a something that involves a Playfair cipher. Playfair ciphers are notoriously tricky to solve. I'm just looking at. I'm just gonna. I think my I think there's a bit of a lag, unfortunately, with my screen sharing here. I'm not quite sure how to fix that up. What I might do though is I might just cancel this screen share and just restart my device, and I might restart the software just so I can try and... Hi Shark, welcome back. Just so I can try and get rid of that lag before we start solving this puzzle. But in anticipation that we might solve this puzzle, I have already copied out the preamble. So, wait a second. Let me just get all this properly lined up. I have already copied out the preamble so we can... I'll let everyone start taking a read through that just while I try and get the screen sharing back up and running again. So I want to restart. What do I want to restart? No. I think I need to just slow down my computer a little bit by getting rid of closing a few programs. That should do it. Get the remarkable application open. Here we go. All right, so present with screen share, connect to app, accept the connection. Here we go, running much faster now I think. So if I zoom in there, that's almost immediate. Beautiful. If I do a scribble here. Oh, wait a sec, what's happening there? It's close enough, much better. Much better. So I can have that going there. As long as I don't try and do too much zooming. It's still a bit laggy. So 1, 2, 3, 4. As long as I'm just writing, I think it's okay. I think that's probably quick enough. So Darren says, Shark says, just to let you know, this might be a beast. I led the Magpie Puzzle of the Year treasure hunt, bringing back the Puzzle of the Year winners since they started. Each had to set a puzzle for the anniversary editions, and Elgin was a beast. Like Sabre, he's a brilliant setter, but we might be in for a long and enjoyable ride. Okay, well, I think we can certainly strap ourselves in. I'm just having a look at Elgin's contributions to the Listener series, and I can count since 1998 there have been, I think it's 11 puzzles which he's contributed to Listener. I'm fairly sure I've come across him as a setter before. I definitely have. Ominously, his most recent Listener was one called Friends in June last year. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Let me just have a look at it. Oh, yes, I think I do remember that one. All right, so we may well be about to contend with a beast of a setter. Although Saber's clues in the second last puzzle we did, they were very devilish, but they weren't quite as devilish as his clues are these days. And I wonder if Elgin has more recently been a little bit of a devilish setter. I wonder if the same could be said of his puzzles back in 2004. Alright, so let's dive into this preamble. Wait a second, before I do, I should make sure that... Let me just adjust the size of that window so preamble can actually be seen. Okay. Uncertainty about 16 entries must be resolved thematically. 16 entries. Jesus. Okay. That's an ominous thing to read when you have a Playfair grid next to the grid. Uncertainty about the entry of 16 answers must be resolved thematically. Numbers in brackets give the lengths of grid entries, so already we know that we're going to have clue answers that either don't fit their grid entry or don't fit in the grid because the letters clash, or the clue answers have a different enumeration to what's given in the brackets to indicate the grid entries. Solvers need to identify 2 words of 7 and 8 letters. One is the keyword for the Playfair code square, used to encode answers to the 4 asterisked clues. I'm just going to make that purple. The other, which describes the location of the puzzle's title, determines which cells of the completed grid must be highlighted. Okay. In a Playfair code square, a keyword with no repeated letter is followed by the remainder of the alphabet. I does duty for I and J, as in the example shown above. Of course, the example here is the Playfair that is clued by the keyword discovery. To encode a word, split it into pairs of letters, e.g. answer is AN, then SW, then ER, when a pair forms the opposite corners of a rectangle. Anyway, we can get to the Playfair encoding later. I don't think we're going to need to worry about that for the time being. Let's just jump straight into the clues. One thing we do need to bear in mind, though, is that it looks like there are only 4 clues which are encoded with that Playfair cipher. We need to work out the keyword from it, and I suspect how this is going to work is we're going to have quite a bit of data from the crossing entries. We're going to have the clue answer, and that is going to help us work out what the keyword is through a process of well, the best word for it is divination, I suppose, but more fairly to the setter process of application of logic and reason to something that's definitely not going to be obscure or difficult to work out. So, I mean, those 4 clues are going to be easy enough to identify because they will be asterisked or indicated. We're not sure, though, what the uncertainty might be about the remaining 16 answers. Sorry, about 16 of the answers, and perhaps we should indicate this in red. So if we have clues that give answers that don't quite fit in the grid, either because they clash or because the clue answers don't match the enumeration given, then we'll indicate those in red, so we can keep track of them. And already here, one of the asterisk clues, so that'll give something that won't quite enter into the grid before we encode it. I was trying to think about what the best way to tackle this will be. I mean, 16 out of, I mean, that's got to be about, what, a quarter of the clues which are going to be affected in some way. Anyway, let's get into it, see what we can do. All right. Keep under all your little dog. And a little dog can be a pup. Little, I don't think that indicates L. I mean, because unruly would otherwise potentially give us an anagram indicator. I mean, L in dog could give us gold, but I don't think that can give us a word meaning keep. And keep can mean to retain. It can mean, I think it'd be part of a castle, I think. Unruly little dog. Not sure what the answer to that is. Daily women are packaging books, etc. Keep unruly is a of course. It's in a Pekingese thing. Yeah, Pekingese dog. So little dog is, I suppose it is a little dog, but it's also shortened form of the title. Thanks for that, Shark. He's doing the fair thing here, this setter. So a clue where there's something devilish going on with this entry. It's not an overly difficult clue to derive the answer from. So maybe we can bear that in mind as we look through some of these other clues. Daily women packaging books, etc. Daily can be a char, as in a housekeeper. It will be vital to decode the playfair, that's right. Where are we? Where have we got char for daily? Yeah, charwoman is a char, and one sense of the word daily is a non-resident servant, especially a cleaning woman. So daily women may well be an indication of chars, or char plus women. R can be simply the letter R. It can also be A. I think A is given an abbreviation of R, but I think it's probably in the sense of the metric measure. And I think R is also actually no, R isn't given as the letter R. Packaging books, etc. Or it could be women are around books. Now books can be something like BB. I think it can even be B, or can also be Old Testament and New Testament. Not sure what the etc. is doing there. Or it could be the books, etc. is a clue. Sorry, is the definition. Let's see. Yeah, BB is books. I think B, no, that's barrels. That's definitely, books would be BB. I'm not sure about that. Regularly recurring terrors at small place in Canada. I like placing Canada as a definition there. Regularly recurring might be that we're looking at letters that appear regularly in every second letter in terrors at small places. Every second letter, it does seem to give us 7 letters. So, but maybe it's not the odd letters, maybe it's the even letters. R, O, S, A, L. Reverse that. Is Le Sarre a place in Canada? Collins or ODE might be the place to search for that. No, maybe we need to go back to, where's Google? I haven't got Google open. How do I find my Google? Here we go. The Sarre, is that a place in Canada? It is. It's a town in northwestern Quebec, Canada, serving as a seat for the Abitibi-Hearst Regional County Municipality. Anyway, that's all we need. The answer to this one is Le Sarre, or Le Serre. I mean, that's not too tricky. Let's put that in the grid. I mean, we don't know if... Oh, no, it fits. Turn across. We don't know if there's any trickiness with this entry. We don't know if it is one of the 16 entries that we're going to have difficulty with, but there's nothing wrong with the enumeration so far, so until we get across an entry that it clashes with, we don't really need to wonder. Upland grazing areas where grass is cut and brought back. I mean, upland grazing areas sounds right. So we could be looking for a word for grass cut, that is the last letters removed from it and returned. I mean, grasses are, I think, another thing where if you collected all the birds, all the fish, all the grasses, and all the sort of geographical formations to do with rivers and made a list of them and memorised them, you'd have a real advantage solving those crosswords, I think. There's always a handful of things in one of those lists that make their way into these crosswords as either answers or wordplay. And grass can be rye. Grass can also mean to rat or to tell. Grass is cut and brought back. And where can also be as. I mean, so we could be looking at as and rye brought back, but that doesn't. I don't think that works. Or as and sod cut. Is an osser an upland grazing area? I don't think it is. An osser's like a bone. No. Not sure about that. One thing I did want to do was plug in my phone. It's only got 2% battery. Anyway. He's chopped and picked from fruit tree. Chopped and picked. Not sure about that. Examine representation of saint in painting. Representation. It could well be painting could be art or oil. Examine can be oversee. inspect. None of those are 16 words in length though. Mendicant's right, for example, so it could be R plus EG or say. In new order. What's a mendicant? I feel like that's something I should know. Someone who's begging, or someone who's dependent on alms. So it can mean begging, or a beggar. When we do have the EG there, so say it is beggar. As simple as that. We have EG for say. We have right. I don't think we have. Right, for example, in new order. Oh, mendicant's right. No. Just not sure we can make beggar out of that. Really can't make beggar out of that. Note difference between engineers at Euro Lab. And a note can be do, re, mi, fa, so, t, or variations on that. Like I think there's te and do. It can also be n, just for note. Difference between engineers at Euro Lab. Note difference between could be the definition as well. Engineers can be Royal Engineers at Euro. Can be RE. RE and Euro's E. I'm not sure what Euro Lab is. We may well be looking for something to bear in mind. We may be looking at clue answers which are not as long as the clues the enumerations suggest. It might make you unwilling to change recollection of your first 4 letters. God. Something might make you willing to, and whether to change is intransigence, but I don't think that's. Change recollection of your first 4 letters. I mean, I sort of want either change or recollection to be an anagram indicator, but not at all sure what that could be. Or how it could be an anagram indicator and what the anagram fodder is. I think we are strapping ourselves in for a lengthy solve here. This is not promising so far. Sun appearing behind mountain range, that can be the Alps or the Andes. Presses close, or presses close. Presses close, I mean that could be a definition there. What other mountain ranges are there? Himalayas? Unlikely. Mountain range endlessly probably means taking the last letters off. Well, that's exactly what it would mean. Plus S. I mean, I like that sort of thing there. Now, I didn't use my crossword dictionary at all during the previous solve, but I think with I think with this one, just looking at how difficult some of these clues are, the fact that we're looking for at least 16, which there's going to be some silly buggers going on. I'm not going to hesitate to jump into my crossword dictionary to try and crack through some of these clues, because if we don't, we're going to be here for a very, very long time. So first I'm going to look up is mountain range, mountains and mountain ranges. There's a long list of them, but if we're looking for a mountain range endlessly, let's just start with the 5 letter ones and maybe have a look for ones where we can remove letters, maybe just from the end or maybe from the start and the end, and then add an S and then have a word that means presses close. Let's work on the basis that that is the correct parsing of this clue. We have altai. Shark says, it's interesting how difficult solvers tackle these advanced cryptics. I use all crossing letters as I go, but see from your previous solves that you like to run through the crosses and dance cold. It depends on what sort of puzzle I'm solving. I think with these clues, with these advanced cryptics, I like to do a run through of all of the clues first, because you never know where those easy gets are, and you sort of, in my mind, it does help to sort of get into the mindset of the solver, of the setter, if you're able to make that overall assessment of how tricky his clues might be. To Tam Mario says, hi, first thing, love your using a physical dictionary. Well, it's a kind of physical dictionary, I suppose. The Cruciverbalist's Bible with all the cheat codes in it. I think because I can come here to my... Oh, how do I... So I'm looking at the wrong camera. I can come here to my list of mountains and just go with the 5 letter ones and try and pick off the answer to this clue. We have Altai, Andes, Atlas, Coast, Downs, Eiger, Gats, Ghats, Houghty. One of them, so Houghty. Could hops mean, if we remove the last letter and do S, could that mean presses close? I don't think it. Presses close, I mean, it means comes to a standstill, but I don't think it means presses close. Juan, Kamet, Kekis, Kenya, Logan, Matra, Ozark, Rocky. I mean, Rocky Mountains. Could Rocky, could rocks. I don't think that means presses close either, but looking for a sense of a verb. No. It is very nice to leaf through a dictionary. Welcome, by the way. Sinai, Snowy, Table and Tatra. What about the 6 letter ones if we were to remove both the first and last letters? I can't see anything there. No, unfortunately. We also have... We may not be looking for a word that's ultimately going to be 5 letters there. Need to bear that in mind. Sirs. Sarah is a mountain range. Says Shark. So could we be looking at sirs? Not a word I'm familiar with. To press close. Lovely. Very nice. Good spot. Excellent spot. Where are we? Let's get that in the grid. Thank you very much, Shark. And it does fit. To Sir is to press close. What's that? Seri. Close set. I suppose that's probably related to series. Wonderful. Alright, that brings us down to 23 down. Some did less exercise because of this. Some did less exercise. I mean, less exercise can be, let's remove PE or PT for something, but maybe from a shortened form of the word did, but Tab Mario says, especially to me, in the era of instant results from online dictionary, looking up a word in the print version in a nick of time is giving vibe more and more. There's an additional sense of accomplishment as well in going out to find something and striking gold. I mean, there's always a shortcut which is tempting of just being able to put, for example, G something L something into the dictionary and get a pattern search to try and strike gold, but there is something which is much more fun, I think, about when you've been disciplined about it, taking the time to slow solve a crossword. Nothing wrong with solving slowly. Potentially gives, I suppose, more of an opportunity to appreciate the genius of the setter as well. More time to get angry at them. Aussie making delivery. Aussie making delivery, that could be part of the, that could be a definition. After single by England's opener. Single can be one, be SP or for short play, or never actually seen single indicated by SP though. I suppose it's not really. Probably it's not actually in the dictionary, but I mean there are SP records, aren't there? Like short play records. Single could be one or sole. Can be lone. And England's opener would tend to give E. But I don't think that's what we're looking for. Singular is S. I don't think single gives S. But Aussie making delivery. Just not sure. Where are you from, Mario? What can be used to make ropes at a plant in Spain, perhaps? Can thistle be used to make ropes? I mean, hemp can. So, but what's that word starts with? It's a word that starts with H, I think, that can be used to make ropes. Hey, from Thailand. No, Thai. Do you solve cryptic crosswords there? Or you just tuning in for this self. What can we use to make ropes at plant in Thailand? Not sure about that. Point set in pole. Point set in pole. Point can be oared, I think. So that's it. There's all sorts of things that can be point. Point set in pole. Not sure. Help arranged by one assigned to ceremonial wear. Felly something? cryptics are a lot of fun. It's very worthwhile diving down that rabbit hole. Help arrange. I want it to be an anagram of help next to one for I, perhaps, to maybe give a word meaning ceremonial where, and perhaps we've got some extra letters that we're picking up from assigned to, but just not sure. Not sure what we're looking at there. A lot of dull dancers find support here. Find support here. Dull can be it can be something like dim, a lot of indicating less the M. I'm not sure. Not sure what dancers could be either. Definitely going to be a slow solve. Noisily singing, 2 parts in Wagnerian work. I think we've looked up Wagnerian operas before. I think in one of these, yeah, here we go. In the ADA, it actually gives some names of some of his works. Flying Dutchman, Doring. I think Collins as well. The Ring, Tannhauser, Tristan and Sold and Parsifal. I think even places where we speak English natively, there aren't many people who are good at solving these things because they are so. Some of the language, some of the vocabulary in them is just so esoteric. Especially with these barred crosswords, I think where one really does need, as a setter, one really needs to delve into the depths of arcane vocabulary to sometimes try and fill them. Here we go. So Shark has chimed in with help on ION. Is felly on a word? Is that a type of ceremonial wear? No. Maybe Elfion? Pinhole? No. Felanian? Felonian? Eastern Vestment? So how do we get that then? So assign by one. Oh my goodness. By one, assigned to is on. My goodness, that is tricky. That's 9 letters as well. So we have there our first clue, which would result in uncertainty that's going to have to be resolved thematically. I think for the time being, the way I'm going to deal with this is I'm going to put it in, red, and I'm just going to squeeze it in there. Because we'll know when we come across a crossing answer that we've got a problem. But it's useful to know that it's there because we might, as we try and get some crossing answers in, we might be able to work out a way that we can resolve the entry thematically. Thanks for that, Shark. What does that sort of clue tell us about this setter? As he's not afraid to use multiple wordplay elements, means that he's going to be quite devilish in how he disguises those wordplay elements within the wordplay. For example, we've got two different phrases here used to give us on. When the help arrange part, that's easy enough. Okay, a lot of double dances. Wagnerian work, noisily singing two parts. Bad grade comes about through guessing in history. The other thing about these clues is it's not immediate. Sometimes you can read through a set of clues and you can immediately sort of pick up on things that are most likely to be definitions. When what we could be looking for here is guessing in history, so an archaic word for guessing, or it could just be history, or it could be bad. But I mean, a bad grade could be, I mean, that could just be misleading from the surface reading, but a bad grade is obviously a fail or a pass. Mario says, it's very rare to find any of my friends who might like to solve our word puzzles. Welcome to my life, let alone English crosswords, let alone cryptic ones. That's why I'm around here in the platform. I mean, that's the great thing about the internet. There's something for everyone. I suppose in some ways that might not be such a great thing about the internet, but certainly when it comes to finding people who have a common interest in word puzzles, I think that's a good thing about the internet. Provide hearing for criminal fraudulence after lucre's disposal. I mean, this has got to be a subtractive anagram, right? Fraudulence, criminal, after we get rid of lucre. I mean, we don't have something to indicate that lucre is meant to be anagrammed as well, although I don't think there is really a need for that when you think about it. Provide hearing for. Can we get... looking for 6 letters here, but we get rid of... Oh no, sorry, I've removed one too many. Oh, sorry. There's actually a U here, of course. Fraudulence. That's Lucre. So we're looking for an anagram of frauden. What would an anagram of that be? Undeaf. To free from deafness. It is. It's absolutely the thing. Good spot, Mario. Undeaf is to provide hearing. I mean, this goes back to something that Shark and I have noticed as we've solved through some of these older listener puzzles. You'd be forgiven for not knowing that undeaf is a word, because it's not obviously not a word that's in common usage, and it's indicated by Chambers as a Shakespearean word. Now, ordinarily, in an advanced cryptic set today, you would expect that to be indicated by some sort of indicator in the wordplay that we are looking for a Shakespearean word, like, for example, bards or wills or Shakespeare's, but we just don't have that. And indeed, in the Oxford Dictionary of English, the shorter Oxford English Dictionary, and in Collins, Oh no, we have it in Collins. We do have it in these ones. But in Collins it's given as a poetic word. In Shorter Oxford English Dictionary it's given as rare. In IDE it's not there. In Chambers it's given as a Shakespearean word. But we just don't have that indication, which I think would make the clue fairer if it was there. Worker gets right drink. I always want worker to be ant or something and right to be R, and perhaps looking for a word that means drink, question mark. This is one of our clues as well, which is indicated by an asterisk, as is that one. So we know we're not going to be able to enter it straight to the grid because it's going to need to be sorted out with a Playfair cipher. Is the Thai language more regimented than English is? Darren's chimed in with beer. So worker is a B, of course. That gives us beer. Very nice. Very, very simple clue that should have been able to get at first glance. But alas. Great spot. Thanks, Darren. Mystic starts seeking out fresh inspiration. It's got to be Sophie. Sophie's a mystic. But, yeah, there we go. An adherent of various Muslim orders. But we don't have just the word starts is all that's used there to indicate starts of those letters. So I haven't been indicating definitions as we go, but I'll get into the habit of underlining those. But it's an easy enough clue. There's nothing unfair about that clue, even if it's not entirely grammatically correct. That's right, starts are the last four words in the clue. There's a school of thought that says that starts just by itself isn't enough of an indicator. It needs to be starts of, or something's starts, not just something start. But when you got a clue that's that fair, I don't think it really matters. Let's keep on going through the damn clues in order, I think. Break record, chain letter. I mean, a record can be a chain letter. I'm looking for 6 letters, ends in S. Break record, chain letter. I don't think we're looking for an anagram of record. I don't think there is any. Chain, I mean, chain can be S, I think. ESS. So a chain of links. So I know it's a collar of S's. It's also written SS. So I mean, is that our... Is SS our chain there? Or potentially S? The only reason I'm jumping to that is because we do have S at the end. I'm just not sure at all what the what the definition could be. Maybe double definitions. It could well be double definitions. Or we could have 3-letter word for break record, maybe. Or I'm just not sure. After King's gone, so that can be an indication that we need to remove a K or an R. Mad seek fresh royalty from abroad. This is easy. This is going to be another subtractive anagram. It's just going to be seek fresh. Royalty from abroad So seek fresh without the R anagram. Relative from abroad is going to be the definition. Just anagram that straight up rather than try and find it. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I can't find an anagram of seek fresh. Ah, you're right. It could be without the K, not the R. Ooh, very clever. Sharifs. Beautiful. That's a great spot, Mario. Thanks for that. And good work, Shark, picking up on that one. So S-H-E. Sorry. S-H-E-R-E-E-Fs. Nice. This could be our second beggar that we've come across in this puzzle, because I think in one of the earlier cross clues we had a mendicant up there. 16 across we had a mendicant, and then down at 3 down we've got a beggar. Beggar upsetting artist and sculptor. An artist can be RA, sometimes it can be a min as well, and she seems to be a favourite artist of crossword setters. I mean, we could well be looking for never seen that, so an alternative spelling. It must be an alternative spelling of it. Well, there are 3 alternative spellings given here. If you look there at the title of the entry in Chambers. I think we're looking for a reversal of artist either after a word for beggar or the definition is beggar and we're looking for a reversed artist and a sculptor. The only sculptor I can think of is Degas. Sure, there's quite a few others other than that. Michelangelo. 3 down, what do we have? So we have, we do have, that enumeration is only good as long as, as long as this is not one of those funny clues where there's an ambiguity in the entry. Bigger upsetting artists. Well, so upsetting artists, that could be A something something, and the upset artist is just AR on the back. Of course, we get artist from gives RA by, where is it? Yeah, Royal Academy of the Arts. So I think a fellow of that or a member of that would be entitled to that abbreviation, RA. Look at some of our beggars. So, I mean, it looks like a simple enough clue, so we should be able to get it out. And I wonder if we do have a 4-letter word for beggar, then in front of AR, perhaps that could become an artist. Why are there 2 A's? I've just put the A there again because from the 3 down we have something A, something, something, something R. But I'm just thinking, if the passing of this clue is that sculptor is the definition, we could be looking for a 4-letter word for beggar, and then the reversed abbreviation for artist, which is RA reversed, giving AR. So I'm really just off on a little bit of a frolic at the moment, trying to keep my mind open about what the answer should be. So that's why I've written it down there, just to sort of show my working as I go. Beggar, a bum, defy, randy, tramp, baffle, plows, blows, cadger. Cadger could fit canter, craver, toe rag. And there are a few. I mean, if the answer is beggar, some beggars that would fit here are cadger, canter, pauper. Let's see, I mean, can we get upsetting artist and sculptor? And you can always get Edgar out of that, but it's not going to be an indirect anagram. Artist and sculptor. Yeah, I'm not sure of any of that. We'll come back to that. Well, we're going to come back to all of them if we don't get them. Where I'm putting in the potential enumerations here, they're only tentative because we may have clues that do something else. First of practicals is written up. It could be first of practicals P plus is written up, so reverse, about an. We get an elementary particle. An elementary particle is something like a boson or electron or a proton, positron. Could be pansy. No, how do we? First of practicals, man, definitely gives a P. And what are our elementary particles? I mean, it might not be 5 letters. Have I got something wrong here? Oh no. So Shark says exactly right. ON instead of AN. About equals on. Oh, right. So about is on. So we're looking for a scion, are we? Psi particle is a particle with a very long life formed by an electron-positron collision. Of course. Scion. I like that. It's a very neat little clue. Thanks for that, Shark. Once again, it does help us sort of tune into this setter because he's deviously said about an, which when we're looking at the rest of the fodder we're given here from the wordplay, it makes us think, oh, well, an's 2 letters and that fits neatly with P and IS. But an is in fact part of the definition and about is indicated as on. So I mean, we're dealing with a setter who's put together a perfectly neat little clue, and then I think over a series of revisions, just read back over them and thought, how can I make these as devious as possible? And I think there are other setters that tend to do that as well. But this is who we're up against at the moment. 5 down, 13 letters. Potentially the second letter is R, but this could be one of the clues where we have an ambiguity, so we might not actually be looking for 13 letters. It wants to prevent one who's paid his money receiving a little over incomplete order. It wants to prevent. I mean, the definition could be it wants, or it could be it wants to prevent. One who's paid his money . for receiving a little over incomplete order. I've absolutely no idea how we go about tackling it. I think that's the sort of thing where we might be assisted by some crossing entries. You can ask where I'm straight. Do you mean like geographically, or or in a more in terms of which room I'm in? Geographically, I'm from Sydney, Australia. To this day, unlimited gambling happens here. Gambling happens here. I like that being definition. To this day, and that can be here too, perhaps, or now, or thus far. Unlimited might be, let's take the first and last letters off. To this day. Heretofore. We've got before now, just now, hitherto, even now. It is morning here already. Erst, currently, now, later, until now, up to now. Not sure what this could be. What do we have? The middle letter is E. I mean, gambling can happen in a den, can't it? So, I mean, could we be looking at den and then... somehow that's given... Oh, I mean, I do like den as the answer there. Is den defined as somewhere gambling can take place? But den is a haunt of vice or misery. I do like the idea of a gambling den. Not going to pencil it in yet though, because I'm just not sure how it works. One change is Welsh translation of the Bible to Kings. Welsh can be W. And I wonder if the definition is in fact this. Two kings might be, Welsh is W, translation of the Bible, there's a word for that. So perhaps we're looking for that, plus two kings, or RK, that's two kings. One changes. Sort of want it to be werewolf or something like that, but no. What are our translations of the Bible? There are some. There definitely are some. Not a Veda, that's a different sort of religious text, isn't it? Might be a particular sort of Bible we're looking for. Hammer? No. Dorcas, that's a name in a Bible. There's Douay. Douay Bible. That's a translation of the Bible. It's not a Welsh translation of the Bible. One change is Welsh. That is a type of clue where, like a substitution clue, but I'd expect something that was a little bit more direct, like one goes in for, or one covers, or one changes to Welsh, rather than just one changes Welsh. I don't think changes in itself is enough. I could well be wrong. Famous last words. The changes probably isn't enough, and we also don't have an indication of where that change would happen. You'd expect to see that in a grammatically correct clue. But I could be completely wrong about that being the wordplay side as well. Anyway, I'll come back to that. It could also be, we're looking at the translation of the Bible is just that. An anagram of the Bible, but anyway, not at all sure what's going on there. This is another one of those clues which is gives 4 letters which need to be put through the Playfair cipher before we can put them into the grid. Like a piper that is paid outside, it's got to be pied, like the Pied Piper. So paid, I think a short form of paid is PD, paid. Paid outside of that is or in IE. So we have that. But unless those clues were simple enough to get. So we do have all 4 of our entries that are going to be ciphered using the Playfair cipher. One who tries bringing opponents together over a nip of scotch at New Year. I think the answer is going to be one who tries. It is a nastily neat clue. Bringing opponents together. Now, I've never played bridge, but crossword setters apparently are really, really into bridge. So whenever we see a reference to opponents, we're probably looking for some combination of northeast, northwest, southeast, or southwest. So they are opponents at a bridge table. Together, over could be O, A, but I'm not at all sure about that. It could also be an indication we're looking to bring something over or around A and nip of scotch, maybe S or H, at New Year, so maybe against NY. So give us 7 letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gives us 6. Looking for one who tries. We don't have any crossing entries. We're for 4 o'clock cross. We're potentially looking for a plural word there, or we're looking for a singular word, because if it ends in S, they're daily women, books, etc. I mean, we're potentially looking for a plural word there. So that means for 9 down, our opponents are probably south, eastern, or southwest. One who tries. Anyway, there's an awful lot going on in that clue. Speaker initially extremely quiet. American at the front is leaning forward. American at the front could be A, and there are sort of... Is leaning forward looks like it could well be a definition. American at the front, that can just be A, or it can also mean that we're putting the letter A or the letters AM at the front of what's otherwise generated. Because I think A can give American. A can give American. AM, I think, can also give American. Can it? I think it's a medium. Maybe it doesn't give American. No, it does. American. So A or AM in front of speaker initially extremely quiet. Extremely quiet is PP or pianissimo. Or initially, or it could be. What if 5 letters? Oh, it does. We do know it does potentially begin with A in the grid. So I do like the American at the front is indicating that we put an A in the front. Speaker initially extremely quiet. I mean, it could give BBP at the end there. Or quiet can be shush. Or it can be, I think, mum or ST is in a sense of like to hiss it, to hush. Is leaning forward. I'm not sure. Come back to that. Conflict is about. Conflict is about plunder. The definition can be leaning forward without the is. It absolutely can be. And it could be that is just a connecting word between them. Down. Conflict can be all sorts of things. About can be given as, it can be short for RE, it can be short for A. I'm just going to look up some words meaning conflict because we have like a assault or a sale or where are we? Conflict. If the third letter is R, battle, buster, combat, differ, it's into conflictors, and fracas, oppose, scrape. Could it be scrape? Oh, it is scrape. This is this is devilish. So, about can also give C, as in circa, Latin for about. To plunder is to rape. That gives us a C-R-A-P-E. Is, it's not been used as a connecting word. It's actually just been used to indicate the S. Which is a clever little tool available to setters when they're writing the, working out the wordplay of their puzzles. But I do wonder whether or not it is actually fair. I suppose it's fair in the sense that if a solver knows to look for that sort of thing potentially, then of course it's going to be fair. But I do wonder if it, just saying is actually properly indicates it by modern standards, but anyway, I like it. Anyway, so we put scrape in at 15 down, and we had 33 across Felonian, which is a ceremonial gear, but of course the entry there was a little bit too large for the space, but by putting the E at the end of scrape there, I'm wondering if we can fit the PH in before it. So I could be wrong about how 33 fits in there, but just for the time being, I'm going to put it in that way. Red gold with special finish. So gold can be OR or AU. Special can be S. It can be S or it can only be SP. No, it can be S. I think it can also be SP, can't it? Yeah, it can be SP. With special finish. Not sure what red would be. In finish, I mean, we could be dealing with a word. Finish can be end or over. But I don't think any combination of these three things would give a word meaning red. But we could well be looking at a word which is in fact longer than the enumeration given. If that was the case, this should be a reasonably simple clue. I mean, I'm assuming the definition is red. Rosy. Florid, refuse, rubric. Auburn. Could that be it? So Auburn, A-U-B-U-R-N, that's a type of red. I do like that because it starts with the A-U. There's also cerise, cherry, claret, damask, rufus, russet. So, I mean, if it was Auburn, could burn be clued by special finish? I don't think so. I mean, it is a way of finishing some things, I suppose. You burn the top of your creme brulee. No, I don't. With special finish, I don't think that can give burn. I really don't think that can give burn. Unfortunately, as much as I'd like it to. My phone's running out of battery. Not sure about that. Extremists in Athens, that's got to be A and S, surely. Special finish could be L. It could be L. But once again, and we did see that before with starts, with, there's a cross clue, starts seeking out fresh inspiration. So, and I think I said that, well, actually, it doesn't say starts off, but it should say starts off, but it didn't here. So, I mean, special, if it was ordinarily for this sort of crossword, you expect it to be specials finish or finish of special or end of special. But because we didn't see that in the last across clue, maybe it could well be L. Still not sure how we get red. I don't get red though. Going down to 20 down, extremists in Athens, and I assume that's the first and last letter of Athens, have ready a place for chemical production. Red can mean other things like irate and gory. Have ready a place for chemical production. Be a plant or a lab or something like that. A beaker, test tube. Not sure. Young swimmer, so type of baby fish or something, or a tadpole drops out. Sprod. It's got to be a young swimmer, doesn't it? A sprod. Here we go. We've got a Scots word or Northern English dialectical word. It means young salmon, but it's not indicated. It just says young swimmer. So at least in sprod. And funnily enough, that goes down here, and it might mean that we can make permanent the L and the O from 33 across as well. The question does continue. When did it become the convention to start indicating that we're dealing with dialectic words or Scottish words? Out is an anagram indicator. I think the most devious anagram indicator, though, might be on, O-N. I've only ever seen it in the wild a few times. And I don't think it's a fair anagram indicator. But because Chambers gives one of the definitions of on as an adverb as on the way to being drunk, some bullfeeders picked up and run with the idea that you can just have on in a clue and use that as an anagram indicator, which is obviously just total nonsense. But anyway, I mean, one's either drunk, I suppose, is a fair enough anagram indicator, but so is tipsy. But I've always understood tipsy to be an anagram indicator in the sense of askew or awry, not in the sense of being partially intoxicated. I don't think, strictly speaking, drunk really works as an anagram indicator, in the sense of being intoxicated or saturated. I don't think it really should be used that way. And if drunk shouldn't be used that way, then on the way to being drunk certainly shouldn't be used that way. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. We have a falcon. Third last letter is apparently an A. Falcon finding hedge in a flash. Falcon finding hedge in a flash. I mean, hedge can mean a few different things. Putting hedge inside words meaning a flash. It's probably how that clue works, but like lots of other things, I'm not an expert on synonyms of falcon or my birds. I think it would be useful to put together a cheat sheet to learn with all the birds, all the fish, all the... I might make a note of that. Birds, fish, water-related geographic formations. Hilltops and mountains. I think a list of all those things would really give one an advantage solving these. Anyway, with divisions, Anglicanism is put back. It's 25 down. Third letter is P. With divisions, Anglicanism is put back. I wonder if this is as simple as Tupsy something. And then the word for Anglicanism back, but with divisions. Not sure about that. In parts, partially. Finish paper about mortgage provider. A lot of people might think a mortgage provider is the bank, but strictly speaking, that's not right. The mortgage provider is actually the owner of the property who provides a mortgage to the bank. I think strictly translates into like death bond or mort being death. Like, I wonder if it says anything in the etymology. Yeah, mort, dead, and pledge. Yeah, death pledge. Anyway, finish paper 2016. Finish. I mean, we have. It could be lender, although strictly speaking that wouldn't be correct. And finish could be end, paper about something. So 26 down surely has an L from there. What do you mean probably has an L from there? Oh yeah, an L from the other one, that's right. So I'm thinking, it could be lendee. Mortgage provider is lendee. Or loanee. But I like the idea of the definition being mortgage provider and the wordplay being a word for paper around the word for finish, which could give us the end in lendee. Paper, it's not going to be lee, that means shelter. River. And what could paper be? Maybe paper could be a newspaper, or it could be. Let's have a look at some definitions of paper. Rag, ream, work, daily, essay, organ, study, report. getting too long there. We're going to type like a newspaper, like the Sun or something, or so we've got lists of newspapers. Newspaper. Rag Blat. Post. Daily. Local organ. Paper press. Weekly. Papers and magazines include can't really see anything there. Not sure what the answer is going to be, but Candida, for example, that's a satire, isn't it? It's also a type of fungi. It could also be that the definition is only provider. No, it's Candide that's, I think, what I'm thinking about. So Candida is apparently a type of fungi. Okay. Candida, for example, play by Shaw for Britain, for everyone. Play by Shaw, what could that be? Pygmalion or something? For Britain, for everyone. It's 29 down. Alternate letters U. Could be fungus. I mean, just because it says 5 letters doesn't mean it necessarily is that. Play by Shaw for Britain, for everyone. Can't see it. Anyway. 31 down. 6 letters. Third last letter is D. Or fourth letter is D, I should say. Yeah, the question mark really is something. So usually when you see a question mark uses a definition, what it's indicating is that the definition that's given is an example of what the answer is. So definition by example rather than a direct synonym of it, or something that could describe the answer. So it might be that that's what we're looking at here, a mortgage provider or provider, and that is a definition by example. 31 down, it might accompany police car round city. Round can be O, it can also be a container indicator. Police can also be an anagram indicator in this sense. To control or to put in order. I mean, once again, it's funny and strange anagram indicator, but we could be looking at an anagram of car around a city, with the clue being it might accompany, or the clue potentially being the entire reading of it. Cruiser might accompany something. A chaperone would accompany something. A carer. Carer can accompany. I don't know how we get a city there. Not sure what that could be. Free cruising on leading ship, that's cool. 32 down. Fourth letter, 6 letters, fourth letter potentially F. Free cruising on leading ship. That's cool. Absolutely no idea. Free cruising. Is it a reefer? So Shark says, has popped this into the chat. I mean, I understand how free cruising can be an anagram of free. On leading, that wouldn't be an anagram of reversing. It could just be putting on as in RE at the front, which... So a reefer is a refrigerated... Yeah, a ship that's cool. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. So a ship that's cool. I only thought a reefer was a something else that's cool. It's very... So on leading, it's not a reversal of re. It must just been re at the front. Great spot, Shark. Thanks for that. One who doctors dice. One who doctors. Mrs. Shark came up in the background. These seem like killer clues. They are absolutely killer clues. Absolutely killer clues. I'm going to put another coffee on because I think we're going to need it. Right, we'll wait for that to boil. First to four for the morning. You mean first to four crosswords for the morning, or? Oh no, first to four coffees for the morning. No, this will be my second of four. I'm already one down. I think this might be a 4 coffee morning, especially with these clues. The machine's going to take a little while to boil up. One who doctors dice. I mean, one who doctors is an editor, I suppose. Not sure how we get dice out of that. I mean, dice can be to... It could mean dice in the sense of chop up. Not... where are we? Of course, we have the previous puzzle, the die is cast. Yeah, to cut into dice. One who doctors. And I feel like that should be a very simple little clue and an easy get, but it's not. It ends in NER, and you almost want it to be ER, N, sorry, middle letters N, you almost want it to be ER on the end, like dice. Anyway, not sure about that. A photo showing whiskey chaser. 4 letters. I mean, whiskey can be a clue for W, so it could be a word. I'll pick around W or something. Or whiskey and chaser could be Yeah, I'm not sure. Really not in tune with clues in this puzzle. A body found in open country. Open country can be Lee, I think, as in like a meadow. Yeah, open country is literally a definition of Lee in Chambers. Open country away from Midlands City. What are the Midlands cities? And maybe we're removing LEA from a Midlands city. I wonder if the Chambers Crossword Dictionary has a list of Midlands cities. I've only ever been to London in the UK, so I haven't actually, don't really know it geographically. No, we don't have a list of our Midland cities. I'm going to look up a list of Midland cities on Google though. I think geographical cities are okay to search that way. Victory Point Gaming says Midlands is in the middle of the land. Well, that'd make sense, wouldn't it? Midland cities, UK. Key cities in the West Midlands: Coventry, Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Stoke-on-Trent, Hereford, Worcester, Lichfield, Nottingham, Leicester, Derby, Lincoln. What a list of lots of shires. You know, Warwickshire, Shropshire, Herefordshire, Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire, Lincolnshire, Corby, Hinckley. Can't see anything I can take an LEA away from. Anyway. Alright, so that's all the cross clues and down clues. We haven't got much of a thing. LEY, can that also be? That can also be Lee. Like Hinckley or something? Is that it? Yeah, we got Hinckley there. You can see that on a map. Hinckley minus LEY, that would give, it's not going to give a body, is it? I'm just looking at a map that I've pulled off Wikipedia, which shows from Shropshire through to Lincolnshire. Are there any more LEYs there? Dudley. Dud mean body. Bomber and projectile. Can't fit useless failure. Clothes. Any useless or ineffective person or thing. And I think a body might be defined in a similar way. A corpse. That's always not it. But can it be a useless person? I mean a person, but maybe not a useless person. That is the best definition I have potentially have of it for a while. Oh yeah, you were up late last night. I think you said you went to bed at 3 o'clock when we were solving something last night. But welcome back. Could a dud be a body? I don't think it can be. Body can be a garment or a part of a garment covering the trunk or a bodice, or a loose legless garment. And if we look at dud, and the second sense of dud is, it's only in plural, duds. How old's your son? Happy birthday. Corpse. Three-dimensional figure, mass, solid object. Yeah, I'm not convinced about Dudley. I wonder if I can find another list of Midland cities. A list of Midland cities. If I can find a list of something, I can simply search that list, I think. There we go, all cities in the West Midlands. 14 now, it's growing up. Certainly old enough to do cryptic crosswords then, I think. Midlands region. Dudley's the only one I can really see that's popping up. Oh no, it's not, there are probably more. It's Kersley, Owsley, Bentley. Not sure how many of these are cities. Langley, Layhill, Moseley, Briley, Bromley. So I'm saying something that means body. Coes, Dudley, Salty, Sedgley, Shirley, Sturchley and Hockley. And there's another page. So there's at least a few places that end in LEY, but I'm not sure how many of them are cities. Quite a few of them are probably going to be hamlets or towns. Anyway, I'll come back to that. Let's go back up to the across clues. I'm just going to go make that coffee and I'll be right back, but I'll let you guys have a think about what some of those across answers might be. Alright, coffee number 2. We're reduced to using almond milk, which isn't actually too bad, just doesn't froth up. Alright, what do we got? Let's do another run through of some of our across clues. We're not going to get one across because... Oh, what's it, Daisy? One across is one of these clues which is going to be given by a Playfair encoded entry. It's going to be an encoding of PK in the sense of Pekingese dog. I think there are a few 4-letter entries that are like that. So I have Sophie down here for 43 across, for 40 across, it's beer. And where's the other one? Just down here. 8 down was pied. Bear that in mind, but it's not really going to give us anything yet. Let's have a look at 18 across. We have something EC, something N. I think we better start trying to attack these clues a little bit more strategically. Note difference between engineers at Eurolab. Difference between engineers at Eurolab. I wonder if it's recon. So, no, maybe not, but engineers at Eurolab. I'm wondering if Euro somehow gives conservatory or lab in a way, but probably not. But engineers could certainly be RE, but recon means reconnaissance, but I don't think that gives us noting the difference between. And I do like it being REC something, but CERN? I mean, CERN's a lab, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. European Organisation for Nuclear Research. So, is CERN a word? No. It's not. But I do like CERN there for some reason. I do like CERN there. I just can't make it fit. Can't make it fit. What else do we have? 28 across. We've got a bit of data from there. We have SP, so something SP, something RE, so Aspire. That fits, but it's not. I think we're looking for some sort of fibre, and that's the clue there. That's the definition. What can be used to make ropes? At a plant in Spain, perhaps. None the wiser for that either. 3 down. So bigger upsetting an artist and sculptor. Do we have a list of sculptors? If CERN is given, if CERN is part of 18 across, then we might have clues here where we have a clash or we have extra letters. Let's have a look at our sculptors. Sculpt. Cowder. Is Cowder bigger? No. Cowder, Canova, Cousin, Deacon, Koeql. Koeql's a sculptor, apparently. Marini, Pisano and Pisano, Robia, Scopus and Walker. Walker's a sculptor too, apparently. Carver is a sculptor. Caster's a sculptor. Carver with a bigger upsetting artist, but then where do we? How would the AR be inserted? I mean, it does give us the reversal of RA, but I just can't see an insertion indicator there. So very devious clues, aren't they? Very, very devious clues. The Cravers are bigger. Oh my goodness. Ha, Jesus. That is devious. So Carver's the answer, as Shark says. And what it is Craver with the RA reversed. To give that. Gee whiz. Oh, sorry. Shark, I think you've certainly picked up most of these. I am definitely not on the right wavelength for this puzzle. 18 across. I really like the Euro Lab being CERN, but we don't have that here. So, note difference between engineers at Euro Lab. Sorry, let me just... Note difference between engineers at Euro Lab. But I was thinking before, note difference between being the definition. Engineers is obviously RE. Sorry, maybe not obviously. But resend is not a word. Not a... And in fact, I'm not sure that there's any word which goes something ECEN, which means that this may well be one of those clues where something else is going on. And so maybe we are looking for something which ends in cern. Discern? I mean, to discern can be to distinguish. I mean, maybe we are looking for something that means cern, which has a cern in it. Discern, to judge. Scots word. Discern, to distinguish. Well, not discern, to discriminate or distinguish. So, I mean, we have discern and discern, which has that same meaning. Self-concern, unconcern. I wouldn't be surprised if it's this. SE's engineers, is it? Yeah, Society of Engineers for SE. Okay, so Eurolab is CERN. Society of Engineers is this. So we have one of these clues where we need to treat the entry thematically. And just looking at this, I wonder if the way we're treating this entry is just to lose the R. Because it's entered as SECEN. So we could just be losing letters, and perhaps the same thing happens down with 33 across, which was only one letter too many for its entry. SE for Society of Engineers. Oh, I've not come across that before. Great spot. Let's go back to 13 across, because we have a little bit more here. Something E, something RI, something. He's chopped and picked from fruit tree. I think it's very helpful to have as many sets of eyes on this as possible. And I've got to a grand total of 6 viewers currently, so if there's anyone else watching along, I think we have Liari, we have Victory Point Gaming, we have Mario. But any help we can get would go a long way with this puzzle. Thanks for the shout out the other way, by the way, Victoria Point Gaming. I just logged in and I had a little notification saying I'd been mentioned. Can't see why pigtailing wouldn't be a word. But you might be confused with coattailing though. I mean, is coattailing a word? You know, coat trailing? To trail one's coat? No. Coattails? I think we're turning nouns into verbs there in a way that obviously mean something. It's clear enough what the meaning is, even though I haven't been picked up and entered in the dictionary in that way yet. Could be forging new ground here. It's a new word. Is it a neologism if it's we're just putting words together? Neologism, is that word? Yeah, neologism, a new word or phrase. Or a new use of an established word. There you go. Yeah. Coming up with neologisms. He's chopped and picked up from fruit tree. Berries? I don't know. Hewed, picked up from fruit tree. Orchid, so picked from fruit tree. Picked from fruit tree. I mean, berries would be picked from a fruit tree, wouldn't they? But not sure. Not sure what they could be. Probably already had a look at 11 down. 1 down. I mean, I did sort of come with this idea that maybe the chain could be SS or ESS, and I get that from here, this idea of a collar of S's, but I'm not sure if it's a collar of S's, which is a chain of link, but it says here it's also written as SS. So chain could simply be SS. We have to break record. So break record in front of chain gives us a letter, perhaps. I mean, what if we're dealing with recrossed? No, that's an anagram of record and SS, but I don't think that's what we're looking at. We have a letter with a question mark as well, so I mean maybe we're looking at a landlord or a landlady. Rentes? Something ending in SS regardless. Not sure. Not at all sure. Tell you what, the last puzzle we went through, I was feeling very, very smart, but this puzzle felt like a real dummy. If we're working, just coming down to 29 down, if we're working on the basis that thematically entering things like what we have there at 33 across, where we have an answer which is too long for its entry, if all we're doing is removing a letter, then what that means is that this would have to be something O or N, either one of them, something U, something. We know Candida is a type of fungi, a member of the genus Candida, parasitic yeast-like fungi. So, I mean, if the definition was Candida, for example, that could give us fungus. Play could be fun. Oh, there we go. So maybe we are looking at fun for play by Shaw, for Britain, for everyone. But how would that give us S? Shaw for Britain, for everyone. So players in fun next to Gus. For Britain, for everyone. Well, for everyone could be us. Oh, no. Shaw is George Bernard Shaw, GB. For everyone is us, I think. So I think, could that be replacing B in GB from George Bernard with us? Surely not. Does us mean everyone? The objective dative and accusative case of we. Well, maybe. Is that a correct way that we can pass this? Or it could be, but perhaps it's not. So Liari points out that you, for everyone, can just be you. So perhaps it's George Bernard Shaw, GBS, and we're just changing the B. I mean, that would make more sense to So 4B we put instead for everyone, for universal. I think that's got to be the answer. Has to be the answer. Yeah, so we've got fungus. I've never seen Shaw clued as GBS, but it's clearly enough hinted at. It's hinted at in a clear enough way. Now, we then have an issue because what we need to do is, and I'm assuming what we're doing here is trying to enter these clues in a way that resolves clashes. If that's the case, then we have a clash at least in, we might have FU here, and N, and perhaps we're we still haven't resolved these ones from 33 across. But let's just try and enter these things in a way that avoids clashes, and if we need to revisit some of these entries, we will. But what we do know is that this is going to be one of these clues where we do need to enter it thematically somehow. So maybe that means that we lose either the F or the U from the start of that clue. Shark says, phone ran out of battery, clearly spinning too long on Twitch. Rec equals record, recess is break. This is one down. Here we go. Thank you, Shark. Where are we? One down. Break is recess. So chain letter is, of course, S. Right. Recess. Neat. It's very neat. So the parsing of that clue is much simpler than what we were thinking. It's staring right at us. Beautiful. 13 across. This starts with C. I mean, picked from fruit tree. I mean, I was thinking berries before, but we can also have cherries, I think. So he's chopped and picked, but I don't think that's... No. No. Ceres is a tree, is it? I don't know what I'd do without you on this one, Darren. I really don't. Ceres is a turkey oak. Is that a fruit tree or just an oak? Definition is just the tree itself, I think. He out of cherries. This is a little bit naughty. So we have cherries is fruit, but the he doesn't come from here. It's he chopped. He is chopped, and then we have. So we move the e from different places. It's coming very close to being. I mean, it's not really an indirect anagram. But it's like an indirect. It's a subtraction of an anagram indirectly from an indirect subtraction of an anagram, I think. That's right. Chopped is saying that he is not to be treated consecutively. It was nice to get that, which leads us back to 11 down. And I think I was thinking about something like a slant or something, or a scance, leaning forward. Is extraordinarily sneaky. Thanks for joining us, Liara, and Might not still be solved by the time we get back, but the video will be up so you can catch up, I'm sure. But leaning forward, I mean, there are all these sorts of words like a tilt or a scance or a slant, which I suppose this older way of putting a on the front of something to give an adverb. So we may be looking at that sort of word here for leaning forward. Speaker initially, extremely quiet. So speaker initially will give the S. American at the front would give the A. Extremely quiet. I think we may well be just looking for some words that mean extremely quiet here. Because the A and the S can otherwise be accounted for by speaker initially and American at the front. What would extremely quiet be? I mean, what am I doing as QT, but hush or mum? No. Extremely could be so. ASSOP, I don't think a stoop. Or two, of course. Yeah, extremely is 2 and quiet is P for piano. So once again we have another one of those clues which we need to squeeze into the entry. Thanks for that, Shark. So I'll put the TOOP in there. Then we have 16 across. Starts with a T or an O, potentially, if we're right about these entries being entered just by losing a letter here and there. But the common theme is that all of these entries where there's uncertainty are all entries where the answers are just one letter too long for the entry so far. Mendicant. Mendicant's right, for example, in new order. Well, I wonder if what we're looking for here is an anagram of order, and inside that we have something like that. REG, or simply R. But, or EG even. For example, in new order. Maybe we're looking for a 7-letter word that means a mendicant's right, but I mean, what right does... I mean, a mendicant can be a friar who depends on alms. Let's have a look at this. Order, EG. See if that makes anything. Rogered? Nope. Right, for example. I mean, what would right, for example, give if it was only a single letter? Well, we could be looking at... Yeah, not sure about that. What about 19 across? It's going to be in... Well, it's going to have to start with an O, I think. So I suspect we're looking at an O. Just from the letters of a stoop. It might make you unwilling to change. Recollection of your first 4 letters. I wonder if recollection is an anagram here. Definition is it might make you unwilling to change. And recollection of, actually, the anagram indication is given by recollection of your first four. So recollection of fodder letters. Could be Y and 4, or your and F. I mean, we have seen at least one example of Elgin not being strictly Zeminian with those indications. Letters, for example, could be S's or something like that, but might make you unwilling to change. Shark, I think one of your it's got an auto mod notification saying that the automatic moderator has held a message because of bullying. I need to click allow to chat. So the problem with the message was it includes HIGGER, which I think the chatbot might have thought was a misspelling of another phrase. So just going back to write EG, Shark says, let me try and find that mendicant's right, for example. Write EG equals Thigger, THIGER, which is somebody who's a mendicant. Oh, of course. I mean, that passing seems so obvious. Now you pointed out. I mean, that's got to be the answer. Yet again, we have a Scots word there, which hasn't been indicated. It's got to be Thigger. Now that tells us that it's consistent with, what's that? The T from a stoop. It's yet another entry that's just a little bit too long for its. So another answer that's a little bit too long for its entry. But it's nice to tick these off. Locked again. Just give me a second. I think the only reason would be because the H is so close to the end. So if a word was typed in, if a certain word was typed quickly or radically or in anger, maybe one would come up with Higger. Never heard of Thigger, let alone without the T. No, Higger without the T, I don't think that's the problem. I think it's a Higger without the T has a misprint for what Twitch might think you're writing. There's one way to test that out, but and I dare you to. I dare you to say it. Actually, don't. Definitely don't do that. 19 across. I mean, that tends to confirm that 19 across, we're up to before. It definitely starts with O. It might make you unwilling to change. Recollection of your first four letters. This could be. It might make you unwilling. No, I don't think. No, I was wondering whether it was somehow a composite anagram clue, but I mean, perhaps it is, but it's just not clear to me how it could be. 17 down, I think looking at the letters that we have there, it would surely start with a G, despite the fact that we haven't squeezed 16 across in. But let's have a look at 17 down on a supposition that it starts with G. Excuse me. Red gold with special finish. So are we looking for a word for red, perhaps? I mean, you did have gory. I mean, gold usually gives OR or AU, but I don't think I've seen gold give G. And I don't think that's a standard abbreviation for it either. No, I can't see it there. Let's return to red in the crossword dictionary. See if we can squeeze anything out of this. Chambers is telling me that red is an anagram indicator. If that was the case, gold with SP, for example, or gold with S could be the anagram fodder. Let's try gold with S. No. How can red be an anagram indicator? Revolutionary, supposedly. Not sure I like that. In a Scotch sense, put in order. I think I like that. To make tidy, to clear up and disentangle. Man, that's clear, isn't it? Okay. So red can be an anagram indicator. Reds include Gul, G-U-L-E-S, or gules is a red colour, and that could potentially fit. But can Gul mean gold? Look at this. Gul is a Spencerian word for gold. With special finish, gules. That is devilish. Absolutely devilish. I'm not quite sure how to enter this, but except that we can enter a G here. I'll just write it over the top like that. It just wasn't a thing. I mean, perhaps only Scottish people solved the listener before, up until at least the year 2004. I just thought there was no reason for it, no need to tell people that some words might be Scottish. Point set in pole. We do have some crossing letters for this. S something 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 R. Point set in pole. Set in point. Can't think of any points that start with S and N. Although I can't really think of much today. I mean, south can obviously be a point, and then set might be something that finishes it off, and then we're looking for a word meaning pole, which starts with S for south. That could well be what we're looking at here. Shaft, staff, stake, stang, stick, sting. All types of poles, but none of them are particularly compelling. So what have we got for points? Point set in pole. What can be a score, sense, spec, spike, stage, state, sting? We had sting before, didn't we? Taper. I wonder if this is and lit and it's in spa. Point set in pole. Spare. Could well be, you know. I mean, that's a neat little analytic clue. So, E inside. You know what? It's just so neat that that's got to be it. Point set in pole. And it would be the spear itself. That's a great spot. Yeah, great spot. I think it might be. I do like that clue. Oh, wait a sec, how do I? Tablet's playing silly buggers. Doesn't like that part of the screen. There we go. Thank you, Shark. All right, 31 down. P. My company police car around city. I mean, cities can be LA or NY. So I think we're probably not looking at an anagram of car. Might accompany police. We have this idea of a paddy wagon in Australia, which is a type of police car. I don't think that's... What's a Black Maria? Yeah, van for transporting prisoners. But in Australia, a paddy wagon is a police car. Police car is a panda car, is that right? Wait a sec. What's a panda car? A police patrol car. Okay. So perhaps we've got panda around LA or NY or something like that. Sorry, NY. I mean, those are two-letter cities I can think of, assuming that we're looking at Pandit. No. Round could also be O. It might accompany police car. Car around city. Not at all sure what that could be. Let's try 24 down. We have another A here. Falcon finding hedge in a flash. See if we can find some falcons. Don't like our chances. Falcons include, here we go, duckhawk, no. Kestrel, Lena, Merlin, Gentle, a gerfalcon, a garfalcon, gerfalcon, a peregrine, tasselgent, tercel. Also a saker. S-A-K-E-R. Finding hedge in a flash. No idea. No idea. Absolutely no idea. 36 across. Ends in G. We've got two letters. We could be looking at noisily singing D something something G. I mean, that's just calling out for something that in like this, D-I-N-G. Two parts in Wagnerian work. So the Wagnerian work has got to be ring. So it's got to be two parts in two in ring, two parts maybe in ring. What would our two parts be? And that would suggest that the definition is noisily singing. Potentially we're potentially looking at an extra letter here. Sparhawk. Spark. Oh, here we go. Just give me a second. Where are we? Flash. What's a sparhawk? Same as a sparrowhawk. Okay. So sparhawk. We have hedges in haw to cut, no doubt. In a flash, or is to hedge, making decisive noises. That's another excellent spot. Sparhawk. Nicely done. That little clue. There is a level of difficulty in these clues which does make it very difficult. Shark's going to have to head off for the night. I think what that means is that the progress that we make on this puzzle, if I was to keep on trying to solve it, is going to slow down to a halt. I think we've been going for about 3 hours on this one, so that might be my time to call it quits as well. But thanks for your help, Shark, and I might put this puzzle to one side, and then once we get the Sunday Times crosswords up, I might come back and have a solve of that, and that'll be me done for the weekend. Thanks, Shark, really appreciate it. Your help getting through these things. I might, before I go, try and just knock off one or two more of these clues, see if I have any luck trying to get some of these things out. So I was looking at 36 across. Noisily singing, I think, is the definition. Two parts Wagnerian work. It's got to be something in ring. We've got this. Be rending? No. Reading, raiding, randing, reading, reading, rending, it's not too noisily sing. Reading, rinding, roading, rodding, rudding. Ride means to noisily sing. or rod in for that matter. See, I don't think I saw this one before. Yeah, I don't think we saw these ones. 41 across and 42 across. Let's have a go of those, and if we don't get either of these out, then that's going to be an indication it's probably time for me to call it quits. Must have missed them on the first run through. Such as end obligations of tax. At first, with 25% reduction. 41 across. 7 letters. Little letter S. Such as end obligations of tax. And such as is for instance or for example. Such as end. No idea. 42 across. 9 letters. Perhaps Sean Bean could mould enough dough to make my pie high. What on earth is that? Then perhaps Sean Bean, it's got to be that, right? I mean, Sean Bean's a thespian. Could mould enough dough to make my pie high. Is an anagram of my pie high or something? No. Okay. I am, absolutely no idea. That means I've been doing enough solving of this puzzle. I'm going to go away maybe for half an hour or so. I will come back and try and work through some of the times puzzles. I haven't done those yet for this weekend. Apparently the jumbo is quite good, so I wouldn't mind giving the jumbo a go, but this will be, I'm going to pause the stream of part 1 of this puzzle now. We'll come back to it later. Hopefully when Shark's around to help us, because haven't been able to make much progress on this one without his help. We'll come back to this later. Alright, we'll be back soon with the times jumbo.